You're listening to the Positivity Hour podcast, hosted by Darshaun Smith. Strap in and buckle up, and let's get straight into it. Hello, friends. It's your boy, Darshaun Smith, aka the Positivity God. You're going to watch a very chaotic episode 224 of the podcast. I'm not putting any clips out. I'm just going to post this on the YouTubes and the Spotifys and the Instagram. Not the Instagram, but the Apples and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, you're getting an exclusive. This is only going out on the main platforms and not anywhere else, like anywhere else it should be. So, yeah, just want to let you know to be prepared for a roller coaster of emotion. I'm doing a lot better already. I kind of just needed to express myself. That's kind of really what I needed to do. But today's topic essentially is about feeling burnt out, feeling like I am not prepared enough for the situations I find myself in, and most importantly, just understanding that in life you're just gonna have to fucking work, bro. So, yeah, I'm going to complain a lot. I'm going to talk very positively and very negatively about a lot of things, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I just want to come on here and say, as I'm still not even done editing it, you know, it's 1 hour plus already. It's going to be like an hour 30 or so once it's all done and over with, and the time is currently 1:06 p.m., so we're already an hour late, and it's not even exported out, and I'm going to go leave and go on a walk or something, so... yeah, thank you for coming along on the journey. This is a very personal episode of the podcast, and it's one that needed to be had, to be honest with you, because, you know, there's a lot of emotions going on in my brain right now. A lot of, as you'll see, I'm going to put in some other videos that define, you know, what burnout is and all of these things, and I'll let you make up your own goddamn mind. But, you know, how I view it is, you know, you're putting in a lot of work and not seeing a lot of results. Or you think you're putting in the work necessary to get the results you want, but you're not. But your mind is tricked like it is. I don't know. This is really deep, brother, and my mind is all over the place. But yeah, back to previous version of Darshaun, not the editing Darshaun. Yeah. And you know, I've been doing that for a while, and it's really catching up to me again. But you know, we got some solutions, so there's some light at the end of the tunnel. Let's get to it. But I love how I'm already providing a 2-minute explanation to the explanation I provide later or right after you watch this. But nonetheless, whatever, because what happens after this is it's quite funny. It's funny to look back on, but I was really frustrated in the moment. So yeah, I just want to let you know I'm fine. Still burnt out. We are navigating our way towards a more sustainable solution to where I can work on the business and work on the day job and work on my dreams, goals, and aspirations, and still, you know, be happy with myself as a person, physically, mentally, whatever it may be. So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And I'm trying really hard to look at the camera, but I keep looking at myself. I'm sorry. I'm a degenerate just like you. But yeah, enough of me talking. That's your 3-minute intro to the intro. Now let's get to the actual podcast. Woo! Y'all, can't even make this up. Chair, drink, camera, tripod, bag of more gear, car posted over there, Veterans Memorial Building, Ira Apartment River Tower, UNFG, I own shares in that company, CRST, Alliant Tower, Courthouse, Cedar Rapids. I left all the goddamn SD cards at home. Oh, hell no, bro. Whatever, man. I'm going home, bro. Funny enough, I'm going to use this as the intro. So I came out here to downtown Cedar Rapids to record the podcast, in which essentially I was going to say I am burnt out due to a lack of preparation, because I have now learned some things, and the fact that I consistently find myself in rooms and environments and situations where my lack of preparation makes my head want to explode, or makes me just want to not get out of bed, or makes me feel like there's no hope for a young man in this world like me, you know, the irony, I guess, or the whatever you want to call it, there's a term for this, is that that's what happened with me going to record this podcast. I'm in downtown Cedar Rapids, as you can see. Brought my chair, brought the tripod, brought the camera, brought myself. I made notes. I was prepared to speak. I even brought my mics, okay? Because remember last week's podcast when I tried to go outside, I planned better for the time of day, the location, all of that, but I forgot the mics. This week, I brought the mics, but I forgot the storage device. I didn't bring any SD cards for the freaking cameras. I have 25 SD cards. I keep in 4 separate little mint cans. All of them are sitting on my desk right now. I'm going home. We'll finish this podcast there. But moral of the story is, that's what I'm going to be talking about today, guys. I'm burnt out, and I got 5 situations or activities or whatever that are obviously fueling the fire, but I gave you the punchline, lack of preparation. So, yeah, I'm going to try to still not, blow up, and just try to keep moving forward, because, it's a great day to have a great day, so I love you, and I'll see you in 3, 2, 1, go. Woo! And to add salt to the wound, glad I didn't put my energy drink in that chair. Oh my God. And the little arm thing broke. Oh Lord. It's going to be one of those days, guys. Keep persevering. Also, to really add salt to the wound, when I was setting up the camera, because I'm on Mays Island, which is one of only 2 cities in the world that has a major government building on the middle of an island on a river, I took a knee in wet goose poop. Shake my head, my brothers and sisters. The day is young. It can still be a great day. I will force it into existence. All right, let's talk. Y'all, today has been a day. Ladies, gentlemen, the they, thems in the back, okay? And those that don't want to be defined as anything. Let me grab a drink. Today's podcast episode, as you may have already seen, is all over the place because that's my life right now. And I make podcasts about not only myself, personal stories, but also the culture. And our world is all over the place right now. And I'm not going to lie to you. That fact, both personally and socially, with the world and myself being all over the place, is what has informed me exclusively, very intently, very purposefully, you could say, for today's episode, where, as you already heard in the intro, this is like the welcome section. I'm burned out. I'm tired. I'm not even someone who has achieved a lot or done a lot, but I've just been trying to even just get the ball rolling. And by no means am I giving up. I'm just here to acknowledge the elephant in the room, that I'm tired. I am tired of just forcing this thing into existence, trying to force my way out of poverty and all of this. It has gotten to me again. This burnout thing I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. It's happened before. I can prevail again. I'm just here to say, there are 5 main, reasons why we are here today, which we will talk about in the main topic. But, yeah. Before we get there, I still want to do the time capsule, so let's talk about that right now.
Time capsule.
All right, so we're here for the time capsule now. Only thing I want to put in here, well, it's 2 things, like 1A, 1B. 1A is going to lead to 1B. But I put $75 worth of gas in my car the other day, and that was only like 3/4 of a tank. That's insane. I remember paying $40 for a full tank with the car I currently have, not but a year ago. That's crazy, but hey, it's the reality we're living in. And because of that reality, I have to acknowledge the fact, and I also want to put in the time capsule here, 1B, that Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, has left Pakistan without reaching an agreement with the Israelis and the Iranians about making this makeshift manufactured war in the Middle East coming to an end. Meaning, when I need to get gas again, come this Thursday or Friday, it'll be another $70 to $80, pushing $90 for regular 87. You know what I'm saying? Not even the Prem. Can't imagine driving a diesel right now. I feel bad for y'all. I say all that to say that, I'm not here to, just to protest the war or, say I don't like this current administration, because I've said that in plenty of other podcasts. I'm here to just keep you up to date on the news as a very partisan person, but also a person who likes to intake media from all sides and then make up my own goddamn mind. And if I remember, I'll play some 30-second clip at the end of this section so you can hear it from some news people rather than me. That, I don't know whose fault it was, but those talks were unsuccessful, and we are still at war with these people because Donald Trump doesn't want to be exposed as a pedophile, and Melania doesn't want to be proven to be an escort for Jeffrey Epstein. That also came out this week. That's 1C. And it's the world is cooked, y'all. We are experiencing reality, as I would say. We got used, to a more peaceful world, but the world historically has always been a little chaotic, okay? And we are experiencing that right now. And, I'm a very privileged individual in the United States of America, and I'm just here to acknowledge as well, 1D, into the time capsule, that it has really gotten to me, okay? It's not only, gotten to me mentally, it's gotten to me physically, and most importantly, it's gotten to me financially. It's hit my pocketbooks, okay? And learn from the civil rights people of the past. If you want to enact change in a people, you hit their pocketbook, because when that money slow up, and in my case, when I gotta spend more money for something I was doing anyways, you're like, okay, this is enough, buddy. Let's talk. And they don't want to talk. And so it's like, okay, let's vote your ass out of office. So I didn't vote for Trump and them, but a lot of people did. And I hope everything that is transpiring is a true wake up call for them. And I hope that we can. I'm not saying the Democrats are the save here. Even different Republicans other than these child molesting predators in office would be better than what we have right now, to be honest. Anything but this would be better. So yeah, for today's time capsule, I just wanted to say that the world's cooked. There's some positives out there, but like I said, I just wanted to report on the news, and that's hot off the press as of last night. So yeah, on to the main topic.
Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on. And we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Time for the main topic.
Once again, shout out Bloom Energy. That's what we're drinking on today, that Glacier Crush. It's a beautiful thing. But yeah, I came up with this idea just because the last week of my life, this whole year, 2026, we're like, how many days are we into 2026 right now? Let me type that in. How many days are we into 2026? We are 120 or 102 days in, meaning we are almost 1/3 of the way through of this year. So we're probably around the 25% mark. It's April, 13th? It's April 12th today. It's a Sunday. It's 8:45 a.m. as you can see, hopefully. I'm a little backlit right now. I don't care. I just wanted to press record. So we can get this ball rolling. But I say all that to say that, this whole year, these last 102 or 101 full days of my life have been very taxing on me mentally, physically, and financially, and spiritually, and whatever else there could be. It's been taxing on that. It's been a very rough 101 complete days, 102. As you saw by the intro, we're not off to a great start, but it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. So let's keep going. That being said, these 5 situations I was thinking about before I went to sleep, as I was sleeping, for the very little amount I actually did sleep before I just sat looking at the roof of my room And then, as I was driving to downtown Cedar Rapids, and then on the way back when I was frustrated because I forgot my SD cards and I couldn't even record the freaking video I thought I was prepared for, these 5 situations got me so burnt out and so tired and so just like willing to reconsider some things in life. And like I said, I'm not giving up on my dreams, goals, and aspirations. I'm just here to document, for the people in the back and who are delusional, like myself, who believe that they actually can be in the 1% or be the person in their bloodline to make a difference and level up. This is real, okay? I have my ups, I have my downs. I could, maybe I'm bipolar, bro. I could be like riding the high one moment, and the next thing I know, I'm just like, I just want to be alone in a dark room. Just like, leave me alone. I'm gonna put my earplugs in. I need to just like hear me breathe and my heartbeat, because I'm so overstimulated. I'm so mentally cooked. I'm just tired. I'm burnt out. Okay, I just need a reset real quick. Okay.
Also, before I get into those 5 points, I want to play those videos that are defining what other people think burnt out is. Like, what does that mean? And you got some people that say it's all about your actions, some people that say it's a you problem and you're misconstruing your emotions as the burnout. And like I said, I want you to make up your own mind, but I'm gonna play that now, and then we're gonna get to the 5 things that got me burnt out. All right, back to past Darshaun. Woo!
Most of the pain that people experience is purely in their own minds. I think there's an interesting one between like burnout versus hard. For me, burnout is, I would define it as my output per unit of time decreases. So I can see that that's measurable. I can say like number of pages that I edit or the quality of the content that I create, like my output per time. Like the team knows when I'm like 6 hours, 7 hours into recording something, they're like, I literally start like slumping. Physically, I just start like slumping, like I'm just not as sharp, right? There's that versus emotional burnout, which I think people mislabel as burnout, when really it's just like they don't know how to reframe reality.
Burnout is caused by one thing: extreme effort with a lack of reward. So I'll work a 30-hour shift in a hospital and I'll be fine with it. Like, that's like 30 hours. Just think about that. I'll go to a hospital on Friday at 6 p.m. and I leave like Sunday morning or something like that. And this is normal for us as doctors, and we don't burn out. What burns me out? When I have to talk to an insurance company to try to get approval for a medication for my patient. A 30-minute, 45-minute call where I'm sitting on hold with an insurance company creates more burnout than 30 hours of work. And so if you look at the science of burnout, what causes burnout is when someone tries something really hard, is invested in something, and then they don't get it. So if you look at like content creators, why are they so burnt out? Despite all the success that you have, y'all know this, that there's always this voice in the back of your mind that you're never content. Burnout is caused by one thing: extreme effort with a lack of reward.
Burnout recovery tips. 1. Recognize it early. So if you dread going to work, if you're exhausted regularly, these are all signs. 2. Remove the stressor. So if you think it's work, take some time out and let work know. Don't keep repeating that cycle.
Burnout is not like a 24-hour flu. You're not going to get over it immediately. It is something that has built up gradually over time, number of stressors compacting one on top of the other, which is why you got to the point where you are now. And you're going to have to dig yourself off of that cliff again. Not everybody has the luxury of being like, okay, well, I'm going to take 2 weeks off. That is not a realistic thing for a vast majority of people who have bills to pay. From an engineering leadership side, if possible, somebody comes to you, you're like, look, I'm feeling very burned out. I'd work with them to rework their schedule to figure out what is going to work best for them.
So to keep it short and sweet, I'm gonna give you the 5 situations that got me burnt out right now, and then I'll break them down, once the Instagram crowd leaves. Number 1, social media. The creator versus consumer mindset. It's really got me burnt out right now. Number 2, the politics of the world, okay? A wise man once said, ignorance is bliss. And I'm very grateful that I'm informed, but me being informed makes my brain hurt a lot, and it makes trying to work when it may not even be worth it because we might get nuked in a week kind of problematic to seeing things through long term. Number 3, the day job. Okay, rising costs, me traveling between Cedar Rapids and Iowa City, how drained I feel after driving for 9 hours a day and still trying to, have the mental fortitude to attempt to run a business and, get out of the rat race. It's incredibly draining, and it's got me burnt the fuck out. Business expectations is number 4. From building systems, working with clients and collaborators. Recently, as has been the theme on this podcast, the lack of preparation and feeling like I am prepared and then just hitting the brick wall and it's like, you thought. So, that's got me burnt the hell out. Didn't mean to curse earlier, but we're going to leave it in. And number 5, personal life, okay, or the lack thereof. The gym, finding a wife, just the lack of friends, all of that and more really got me burnt out in 2026. But there's a bright side to this because, like I said, this is my first rodeo. So if you want to figure out what I'm going to do to solve some of these problems of myself, keep watching. Or if you're on Instagram, click that link in the bio and let's get to it. Back to the top. Social media, the creator versus consumer mindset. I'm pretty sure it was podcast like 75 or so, not 75 episodes ago, but podcast literally like 72 or 75, one of the early, somewhere in the latter half of the 100, but before I got to 100. I made a podcast called The Creator vs. Consumer Mindset. This was probably back in like 2021, 2022, like riding on the heels of the pandemic / like peak pandemic. It was really bad, and I had some conversations and had some realizations that like genuinely like the people who are of value to the world simply just consume a lot. Yes, whether it's fine materials or fine art or fine just consumables like food, wine, whatever it is. They do consume. Everyone on this earth consumes in one way or another. But these people have a disproportionate relationship on the creator side of things. They create massive amounts of wealth. Okay, they create massive amounts of jobs and movements and politics and geopolitical, relationships. And they are people that can create literal cars or microphones or phones or this drink. The CEO of Bloom, I started buying these after I watched a podcast he was on, because I was like, I've always seen these and now I can attach a face to the name. It's not some Fortune 500 company, and this is just a dude that was like, I want to make my own drink. It's kind of cool. Now it's in Walmart and Target, so I'll support that. That's like the American dream. These people, they create. They do consume. But compared to like the average peon, okay, the average, normal person on this earth, they don't consume as much. So at the time, back then in 2021, 2022, I had come up with this, and it's not original. It's just what I've been saying ever since, the creator versus consumer mindset, and trying to be more and more on the creator side of things. That being said, in the last few years of my life, and like I said, the last 101 days of my life, and if anything, the last like 365, because I was talking about this at the end of last year when I literally like recorded the podcast at 2 a.m. and cried on camera. Like it's I've definitely been more on the consumer side of things, and that has really like fucked my brain up in all sorts of types of ways. Whether it's just looking at other people and their lifestyles and what they're doing, and whether I'm consciously or unconsciously comparing myself to them, that's definitely been to my detriment. Or even just looking at other young entrepreneurs and business owners for insights and how to run their business or build systems and all of that. Like I've been doing a lot of consuming and trying to figure out this little thing, because there is no right answer, and there is no like there's no roadmap. But yeah, you can buy like other people's roadmaps and what worked for them, but everyone's situation is different. What literally, we could be talking about my next door neighbor, but it's like our houses may cost different, or our mortgages are different. They may have no kids, and I could have 3 kids. So I got to pay for the childcare, so I can't dump as much money into cameras or courses or travel for different things, or save to actually quit my day job as fast. Like it's very problematic. And when you consume the content and what these people say, and then it doesn't meet your expectations and your reality, it can really hurt you. And it's hurt me quite considerably, once again, because I was once just a consumer, and then I started creating in 2015, and I did a pretty good job of creating a lot more than I consume. And then during the pandemic, I started to consume more than I created. And then in 2021, I started to create more than I consumed. And over the last 5 years of my life, I've slowly fallen back to the consuming mindset over the creator mindset. And in 2026, on April 12th at 8:53 a.m. in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, 52403 Wellington Heights neighborhood. And I just want to say that I really, for the sake of my own mental health, need like how I need to breathe air to live, I need to get to the creator side of things sooner rather than later, and just stay there for the betterment of my people, the betterment of my community, and the betterment of myself, so I don't jump off a fucking bridge. I'm not going to. I'm okay. I'm just saying, if I don't change, I won't be okay. That is what I'm saying. So yeah, social media has really got me burnt out right now. And whether it's like and like I said, we'll talk about this. Like everything stems from social media, okay, or media in general. It's the ads you see, it's what you read in books and papers, it's what you see on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever your thing is. These next 4 points in all forms and fashions relate to the social media aspect. So like that's one of the main points I want to convey here, which is the creator versus consumer mindset for me has been massively imbalanced over the last few years. And starting like the second I turn this camera off, I'm doing everything within my power to get to the creator side of things. Like my life depends on it, because it really does. At least that's how it feels to me right now. Number 2, the politics of the world. Okay, ignorance is truly bliss. This is probably something I should have put into the time capsule, but the Artemis 2 crew has landed successfully back onto Earth from their travels around the moon, and they achieved the mission. They did a lot of great things, what I'm saying? But, even when you would think like something as unifying as humanity reaching for the stars, quite literally and figuratively, like that would be a moment for us to rejoice and celebrate, like mankind's achievements of trying to become a planetary species. So when we inevitably nuke the fuck out of each other here, we don't just die. We have a chance to, live on Mars or live on the moon, and, capture resources from comets and asteroids to better shape our world, because we are killing it. If we have somewhere to, put our nuclear energy waste, maybe we can have cleaner, unlimited energy. If we have somewhere to get more gold and lithium from a comet flying by, we can, stop being so reliant upon certain nations, for electric car battery manufacturing, for example, or something like that, or the fabrication of computer chips, from silica and silicon and all that, I say all that to say that it just wasn't. And the thing that really got me about the whole like Artemis 2 mission was just like the politics of the world. Everything, like the people in power are so rich, they are so wealthy, and they just don't care. They just don't care about the peons. If I remember, I'm gonna make a note of this. I gotta find, I think her name's like Kyla Scanlon. She made a video the other day, video about the feds not the like federal police or anything, but the Federal Bank of the United States of America, Federal Reserve Bank rather. Let me put some respect on the goddamn name now. Headed by Mr. Jerome Powell, who Mr. Trump, the president of the United States, wants to leave. That's crazy. Um, he elected him or appointed him. I don't know. It's all over the place. Moral of the story: Brooklyn, or not Brooklyn, but Kyla here. She made a video about the Fed meeting with like Fortune 500 like banks and companies, and about like the current inaffordability crisis, and how these very rich and wealthy people in power are starting to recognize that like consumer sentiment is at an all-time low. You know, the amount of people who are genuinely concerned and don't know what to do with the little money they have is at an all-time high. And as we see more and more people gain insurmountable, incomprehensible amounts of wealth, we are simultaneously seeing a very, very large portion of people have no money at all and not be able to afford the basic necessities, and in some cases not be able to repay debts, you know, which these very rich and wealthy people have, you know, paid out to these people in the first place. And I think one of the things I found most interesting in one of the videos she put out was that they are concerned because if they can't finesse poor people, they don't have business. Okay, so even when the really rich people, the really wealthy in power class of people are starting to be concerned about how fucked the world is right now, I think the world's really cooked, guys. Obviously, there are some solutions to our problems, you know, that I don't think we're gonna get solely from the richest people on the planet that manage trillions of dollars worth of assets. um, you know, we're not going to get all of it from them, but you know, they are in a position to do some things that I couldn't do, for example. You know, but what I can do is, you know, try to stay educated on the topics. But you know, as I put in my notes here, ignorance is bliss. Like the fact that I know a little about what I just said to you is highly concerning for my mental health, and it makes it very hard for me to like just work. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a little bit of extra money, you know, not a lot because I have some debts I'm repaying, you know, like the car and the house and the furnace I just had to replace, and all of that, you know, just normal homeowner things. And it's got me just like not feeling great about the economy. It's got me not feeling great about my own lot in life. It's got me not feeling great about a lot of things. And you know, there are people who have a lot more than me and who have a lot more skin in the game who are feeling just like me. You know, they have more to lose, yeah, but they have more to gain in this time of uncertainty. And even they're on the sidelines being like, I don't know about this, chief, and that's a problem. And the politics of the world, whether it's like I said, this whole Epstein thing and the just generation of pedophiles before social media and the internet and everything that are just being exposed, and that just their connections to troubling things, or you know, just your mom and pop shop that's being priced out, or taxes, or that are being misused or mismanaged, or are insurmountable. Like what's the U.S. debt at right now? U.S. debt. Okay. The current U.S. debt clock says the United States government is currently $39 trillion, 108 billion, or 39 trillion 168 million 800 900. Okay, it just went up another billion. We're really in debt. Okay, we are really in debt, guys. And I could just go on and on and on and on, but like the politics of it all, it's just the people in power. This is the moral of the story. This is what I was going to get to. The people in power, they just don't care. You know, they just don't care. And they understand that, you know, money's fake. They're just going to inflate the debt away eventually, or do whatever they got to do, or just run it into the ground, because it's not their money. You know what I'm saying? It's everyone else that's going to have a problem. They're just going to be the leaders of the next new new federation of the Americas, or whatever they call it, once the United States of America dies. So yeah, it's very troubling. Ignorance is truly bliss, and the fact that I am an educated black man in America who's not in this rich ruling class is very troubling, and it makes it very hard to work hard and achieve something in this world when you know the people in power just truly don't give a fuck about you. They truly, and I've known this, but like it's just really been hitting home recently, and it's really been getting to me recently. So yeah, that's point 2. Put the Kyla videos in now, please, Darshaun.
A jury has found Meta and Google liable for harming a young woman who says she was addicted to Instagram and YouTube as a kid. I think this case is really interesting because it shows how the United States sometimes addresses the symptom rather than the underlying problem. The young woman was awarded $6 million. Meta owes 70% and Google owes 30%. This is the first verdict of its kind, and there's a lot more that are just like it. The young woman said she started watching YouTube at age 6 and made an Instagram account at age 9. She says compulsive social media use contributed to her anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia. And what her lawyers did was not go after the content under the platforms, which is protected underneath Section 230, that companies are not held liable for user-generated content, but they went after the design features of the platforms. So things like the infinite scroll, autoplay, push notification, beauty filters, those are what caused the harm, and the jury agreed. Meta and Google both plan to appeal. The incentive structure of this, where now it's going to be a bunch of lawsuits against these companies, doesn't necessarily make a single kid any safer. Meta is spending hundreds of billions of dollars on AI this year. The fees here are just a rounding error. It doesn't change the product. It doesn't change the business model. And to be very clear, the companies deserve the scrutiny. Internal documents showed employees calling Instagram a drug and saying we're basically pushers, and that Zuckerberg overruled a ban on beauty filters despite expert advice that they cause body dysmorphia because he was more worried about revenue. And the answer as to why this young woman was on social media at such a young age is partly economic. Screens become a babysitter. Parents are working more hours. Childcare is unaffordable. School is underfunded. That is a policy problem, not a product design issue, right? Why do people turn to a vice? So in the case of gambling, the idea of financial nihilism supports the idea that people are turning to gambling because they don't feel like they have a traditional path in life. They don't feel like they can achieve what they want to achieve, so they have to do it via other means. For social media, you have something kind of similar. Connection is one of the most important things for a human. And if you're having trouble establishing connections in real life, social media does a pretty good job at fabricating that, at creating that in some instances. But that's a structural failure. Somebody having to gamble because they don't have an economic path is a failure. Somebody having to turn to social media in a way that they don't want to for connection is a form of failure. We need to hold companies accountable and fix these underlying structural problems. But this case is really interesting, and it's going to bring up a lot of questions around internet freedom, a lot of questions around age verification, which is a big topic right now. And hopefully it is going to start a lot of conversations around what social media should look like in our lives, given that all of this has been happening basically without guardrails.
There's two big papers that came out talking about the state of the American dream. Jamie Dimon released his annual shareholder letter where he talks about how the American dream is slipping away, and OpenAI released a paper talking about what policies we could put forward to make sure that AI does not destroy the economy. Jamie Dimon's paper is 47 pages long, and he talks about how 23% of Americans make less than $17 an hour and how poverty is becoming intergenerational. He proposes a lot of solutions, one of them being doubling the earned income tax credit. He also talks a lot about banking regulation, which is a little bit like Oreos. CEO says that everybody should eat more Oreos, but he talks about what happened with Silicon Valley Bank and how some of the rules that are in place are so big and so complex that they actually make crises more prominent. On the macro picture, he's talking about stagflation, that combination of slowing economic growth and high inflation. He calls rising inflation the skunk at the party for 2026 because you've got the Iran war pushing energy prices up, sovereign debt at all-time highs, and AI spending by the hyperscalers hitting over $700 billion this year, which is inflationary in the short run. He also points out that asset prices are historically elevated. So household net worth as a percentage of GDP is at 560%. The peak before the housing crisis was 460%. So there's just a big gap between what people think things are worth versus what the economy actually produces. And that gap does have to close eventually. And will it close? boast through the productivity opportunities of AI. OpenAI seems to think so, but they're proposing a lot of solutions like a public wealth fund, so sovereign wealth funds seeded by AI companies that invest in diversified assets and distribute returns to every citizen, so it's not EBI, it's an ownership stake in the upside. They want automatic safety net triggers that monitor AI displacement in real time. They want more flexible unemployment, wage insurance, training vouchers. They are proposing portable benefits that follow you across jobs, because the current system, when you lose health insurance every time you switch employers, doesn't survive an economy with constant job transitions. They want 4-day workweek pilots. They also want AI access treated as a right, like literacy or electricity, and they also want the AI companies to pay for their own electricity. So you have both Silicon Valley and Wall Street saying, hey, something's got to change. Like, the political situation really has to keep up with what's happening in the economy. The underlying economy is not designed for the current moment that we're in. Technology has changed so much, jobs have changed so much, and policy has not kept up with it at all. And of course the question is, well, who's going to put all of these policies forward? And that's not clear. But it is heartening that we're finally starting to talk about these really big problems that are going to haunt us for the next decade or so. AI is huge, and it's only going to get bigger, especially in terms of money. AI investment was a significant portion of GDP growth in the first half of 2025. There's speculation that AI saved us from a recession, but now the question is, could AI put us into a recession? That's the concern that Asad Ramzanali, the Director of Artificial Intelligence and Technology Policy at the Vanderbilt Policy Accelerator, explores in his After the Crash paper. The AI spin from companies like Alphabet, Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Oracle is expected to outpace the expansion of electricity, the interstate highway system, and every other effort in U.S. history other than Louisiana Purchase and the peak of the railway boom. These companies are investing trillions of dollars based on their customers, like OpenAI and Anthropic, earning tens of billions in revenue. And where did all of this money that's getting invested come from? Well, a lot came from your retirement account. These companies are using money from their stocks, from corporate bonds, even the far more opaque private credit markets, while deploying capital from investors like pension funds and 401ks. This is a lot of money and leads to a rather bubbly environment. The AI bubble is already 17 times larger than the dot-com bubble, and the Magnificent Seven is 30% of the S&P 500. And these companies also all own pieces of each other. It's circular financing. And when there's interdependencies like that, there's worries of a crash. So what could an AI crash look like? There are two scenarios. Number one is a dot-com style sectoral bust, which is very painful but pretty contained. The Nasdaq lost 80% of its value during this time, and Silicon Valley lost over 200,000 jobs. The other is a far more extreme scenario, a 2008 style crash where the whole economy is taken down. 10 million Americans lost their home then, and 9 million lost jobs. Unlike 2008, we don't have to wait for a crash to start planning. There's a lot of things that we could do differently this time, including a Glass-Steagall Act for AI that would separate ownership. So if you make an AI model, you can't own the data center. And something like a public cloud built from stranded data center assets, so if these companies do go bankrupt, the government buys infrastructure at fire sale prices and turns it into a public option. It could also be something like a digital works progress administration, so if knowledge workers lose their jobs to AI, we can hire them to fix the massive technology gap in government. There are a lot of potential solutions, and the full list is in the paper. And all of this is possible too. 1 in 4 lobbyists in DC work in tech, so it's time to put them to work. The tech industry has been pretty much unregulated for decades. And things move really fast after a crisis, and we certainly have not been prepared in the past. We have an amazing opportunity to look at what it might look like to recover from a crash, and then ask ourselves, what kind of world do we want to build after? So we got an inflation print yesterday that did show that US inflation is getting worse. It jumped to the highest in 2 years, and at the same time, consumer sentiment has hit a record low. On top of all of that, Anthropic has released a model so dangerous that the Treasury Secretary and the Fed chair called in bank CEOs into a room to warn them about it and to develop a plan. So let's talk about all of that in order. So inflation came in at 3.3% headline inflation, but what really matters is core inflation inflation, which strips out food and energy, and that came in at 2.6%. That gap is really important. When headline inflation is running way above core inflation, it tells you that this is something that broke in the supply chain because something is going on with food and with energy. And of course, it's the Strait of Hormuz. Before the Iran war, about 20% of the world's oil moved through that strait. Right now, it's about 8% of normal flow, which is a physical supply shock. So if there's less oil available, prices will spike, and gas prices have gone up 21% in a single month, the biggest jump since at least 1967. Anything with oil in it gets more expensive, so like lipstick, everything has exposure to this stuff. So we're in this window right now where headline inflation is already pretty painful, but the downstream effects haven't even arrived yet. And as I talked about a couple of videos ago, the Federal Reserve is in a really tough spot in terms of how they respond to it. The Fed can't cut rates into this inflationary cycle because they don't know if it's temporary. Like, this ceasefire might end the war, everything goes back to normal, the strait reopens, and then things can get better. But they also can't hike rates because the economy is already weakening, it's softening. So they're in a very trepidatious stagflationary environment. That's how it feels, at least. And so consumer sentiment is just the lowest it's ever been. Because of all of this stuff, because of high prices, because of a weakening labor market, because of high energy costs, because of the housing market, because of the systemic problems that the economy has that have really persisted and compounded since the pandemic. And then on top of all that, you have the AI existential risk. So Anthropic has this AI model called Mythos that is apparently capable of finding and exploiting vulnerabilities in every major operating system and web browser. So Anthropic was like, we're just going to limit the model launch and give access to huge corporations like Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, and JP Morgan, Project Glasswing, to give those companies a head start on patching before the capabilities become more widely available. And it's even worse because AI is the thing that everybody thinks is going to save the economy. And in fact, it could potentially exploit every vulnerability in the economy. And so that's the situation that policymakers are dealing with right now, is high prices, people feeling not so great, which is a self-fulfilling prophecy in many ways for the economy, and the existential risk of AI.
Number 3, the day job. Okay, as you may or may not know, I work for Iowa City Transit, but I live in Cedar Rapids, and I drive 60 miles round trip Monday through Friday to go do that job because it's a pretty good paying job. You know what I'm saying? It's not too bad, to say the least. And yeah, it works. I can, like I said, live in an affordable house here, with my mother, you know what I'm saying, and provide some financial relief to her and let her handle some things and whatever up here. But, with all the rising costs in the world, it's definitely been getting to me. And especially as I put here, how drained I feel afterwards because I just drive for so much. And I was talking with some of my coworkers, just the other day, this last Wednesday, like 4 or 5 days ago, not 6 or 7, but 4 or 5 days ago, about like how mentally taxing it is to drive so much. Like, I drive an hour there and back. I drive for 6 hours, plus, so it's like 7 hours, 7.5, plus I go to the gym, I do other things, run errands. So it comes out to about 8 or 9 hours, most days. And that's enough to drive from Cedar Rapids to Chicago and back, and then go back to Chicago. Like, that's a very long distance. And then having to just casually lock in and edit content or respond to emails or respond to text messages or respond to anything, like, brother, like it is very, very taxing. It is very 1% mindset you're going to need to be able to even navigate that successfully. And I've really been struggling with that this year, and it's really got me burnt out. Oh, I forgot to say that about the politics of the world. That's really got me burnt out. But especially the day job, if it's all I did, it would be great. I'd buy a PS5, I would just play some games, and we'd be good. You know what I'm saying? But it's the fact that I'm trying to strive for more is what makes the day job be very draining to me in my battery of social life, or my personal aspirations and goals for myself, where I want to be in a few years, or the next decade. It's got me feeling really, burnt out, to say the least. Okay. And yeah, I'll talk about the solutions to all of this after I get through the details. But yeah, just wanted to say that the day job, it's got me burnt the fuck out right now. Number 4, business expectations. Okay, whether it's building systems or working with clients, or even like yesterday, like working and collaborating with other creatives, it has got me all the way burnt out, brother and sisters in the back. It is I'm over it. I'm just genuinely like I'm trying. I'm trying to try. I don't even think I'm trying anymore. I'm trying to try to work on the business because I'm that burnt out. I'm using so much mental fortitude to just like persevere and just force it, like at levels I have not felt since peak pandemic, or like peak like 2022 into 2023, when I was taking like 20 semester hours of like master's degree level courses, reading 500-page book a week, on top of, rehearsals for the band and all of these other classes, writing multiple papers, working 40-50 hours a week of the job. Like I'm reaching peak levels of just like sheer forcing it, and it's really getting to me, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It is really getting to me, because I am not seeing the success. Like I said, I'm not giving up, but it is really getting to me, guys. It is really getting to me. It's got me burnt out, but that's why I'm trying to build the systems, so I can take the guesswork out of it. That's why I'm trying to, build the systems so that when I work with clients or correspond with the few clients that do come in the door, I've got a procedure for this. There is no, let me make a custom situation for each and every one of you. It's like, no, this is historically how this goes. If you have a unique case, we'll address that, if we need to, but no, you want this, it's going to cost this. Oh, you have that objection. Here's how I resolve that, stuff like that. Or working with like collaborators. We'll talk about this in the Let's Get Personal section. But like yesterday, I recorded a podcast for the Academy for Scholastic and Personal Success with my sister Maya and another person. Wake Up Entertainment is his business, Darshaun. Nothing against him as a person, but just like working with other collaborators, I have not figured out how to do that successfully yet. Like me and Maya, we can work together. I've subconsciously figured that out. But like whether it was working with Dave or working with like other people on the marching band, like at times it has been very taxing mentally, trying to force my ego to go away, to force my pride to go away, and just like let whatever happens happen. And like yesterday in particular, we had a plan, and then that plan just like went to shit. And now, as I was saying to myself before I clicked record, that's why I kind of did that little like skit thing at the beginning when I was lighting the incense. I was like, let me do that, because it kind of made me mad, because it's like now it's like I have to use some fucking sorcery to like make this thing happen, like that's really what the business has been doing, and like since I started it back in 2022 officially, professionally. I've just there's not been an easy part of it yet. This business ain't supposed to be easy, and or at least that's how it's been explained to me, and that's my only experience with it thus far. It's like it ain't easy, and it's funny because I'm not even good enough yet, bro, and I don't think I'll ever be good enough. I'm just good a little bit sometimes. But I say all that to say that when it comes to expectations and the environments I find myself in and the people I'm working with, especially, it's really just got me burnt all the way out. And I've been forcing it for too goddamn long. You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to really just, see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's just getting darker. Okay. Like I know it'll all work out one day. I am strategically delusional enough to know that everyone's business journey starts off and it sucks ass and it's terrible, but it's just yesterday was like a goddamn tipping point, and it was just like I don't know how we got here, or like what even transpired for me to allow myself into a situation to where I was so woefully unprepared for what transpired, to now when I was like backing up all of the footage and I was like, this is something entirely different than what I had agreed to. And it's like now I have to like mentally wrap my cooked ass, burnt out ass brain around this, and then force myself to just act like everything is sunshine and rainbows. It's a lot. It truly is. And I'm burnt out, man. The business has got me burnt the fuck out. Number 5, personal life. Let's talk about it. Okay? Or the lack thereof. Okay? I don't have a personal life. Okay? I don't have any friends. Okay? I have a few friends I see like occasionally, like Michael Tyrone. He lives in Illinois. I live in Iowa. I'm gonna go see him, over the summer sometime. But he just got his new job. He's trying to settle into, his lifestyle and such like that. So I'm letting him cook. Same thing with my friend in Iowa City, Blue, my old roommate. He's trying to successfully graduate college right now, and he's in the period where I said, you're using an insurmountable amount of mind brain power to like force a situation. So like I'm there to support him obviously, but he's trying to write all those papers and read all the books and actually show up to class and not show up with a gun and shoot everyone right now. So I'm gonna be there to support, but I'm gonna let him cook. But outside of like those two people, like the two people I can like quickly be like, oh yeah, those are some friends I have, like Michael and Blue. They don't live where I live, and I don't see them every day. I don't see them once a week. I don't see them once a month. I see these people, a few times a year at best, for like 4 months at a time, um, nowadays. And I'm not gonna lie, that's really got me burnt out. I don't have anyone to have a conversation with like this, outside of my mom, I guess. And my sister, especially, we call each other and we talk about these things. But I even said it to my sister. It's like every time we talk, I just feel like it's always some negative ass shit. Like I don't have anything positive to say, because it's like there's nothing really positive that's going on. Like I make it positive, because I'm the positivity god and I'm a delusional person. So I keep it basic. Like I woke up today, that's a positive. Like I'm able to walk and use my fingers, and I have a camera to record, and a platform where a few people will listen for 30 seconds before they click off. You know what I'm saying? I have some things. I have some privileges. I have a little bit of money. I got a nice car, an okay house. At least I have a chance. Okay, so I make some positives out of it. But it's like in reality, like if I keep it a Fortnite V-Buck, my life is shit. Okay, I work a job that I don't want to work. Okay, I'm trying to work a business that is not proven to be anything but the fucking shit show. You know, I'm trying to, find a wife, and we live in a world where that shit is just not really advantageous for a brother like me right now. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to find the woman and not get me too'd, okay? Find the woman and not get fucking divorced and lose half my shit. Just like there are a lot of things going on in this world right now, in my personal life especially, that have really just got me burnt the fuck out. And I just want to let it be known that I'm not giving up. I'm not gonna jump off a bridge. I'm okay. Feels good to talk about this with the camera, my true friend. Okay, at least I see my camera every day. You know what I'm saying? I just don't post all the time, but I do see the camera. So cameras, day one. Friend here, and a tripod. Fun story. Side note: I bought a tripod when I bought my nice camera, my first nice camera, because I didn't have any friends that I could call to hold the camera and record for me, or like take pictures or do anything like that. And there have been some people in my life who are also do like creative things, but they're not the type of people that I want to be around, in all honesty. And I'm not saying that I'm some like control freak narcissist, because that there's some truth and merit to that. But I just, I find myself in situations where when I'm around other people, I just don't want to talk, bro. And that's both because I'm burnt out and I don't feel like exerting that much brain power to like try and speak my mind or whatever. I'd rather just listen until you really say something that I feel the need should be said, or I should speak up to rather. But it's also I just I don't know. I've always been the type of person, like I'm a very extroverted person, but when I'm in like private settings, I'm quiet, bro. I'm an extroverted introvert. All right. I'm a public facing, front of the stage, dual personality. I don't know the sociological term. I've been out of college for a little bit and I burned all the material I got. But I know the concept that how they explained it, like front of stage, like you're performing to the crowd, what you perform to the world, what you would historically see on this podcast and the videos I produce is a person who is, like I said, an extrovert, someone who loves to talk, someone who loves to go up and shake hands and just meet people and get rejected peacefully and be like, hey, have a great day. Here's a rose I got for you, anyways, pretty lady. We'll see you around, but like private stage, like when I'm just like chilling at the crib, bro, I'm just a quiet guy, man. If I could not talk, that'd be preferable. I would rather just literally just exist. Okay. And that obviously proves problematic because a lot of people, when they meet you, they want the front stage, but it's like, no, you got me in the backstage, and it's like I'm a completely different person, bro. So yeah, I say literally all of that to say that the personal life and the pursuit and endeavors that I'm trying to get to in my personal life, whether it's the gym or, like I said, finding a wife or whatever, it's got me burnt out, At least I'm going to the gym consistently and I'm starting to work out again, but now my body hurts, bro. And trying to, like, literally trying to get out of bed today sucked because I was like, my body is just like, just drink some water and don't move for a little bit. Like, I need to heal, You went hard on leg day last week, brother. Chill, okay? And it's a lot, and I'm not afraid to admit it, and I'm not afraid to share it because I keep it authentic, I keep it real with y'all, and the camera especially. Like I said, the camera OG, he my friend over there, but the people that are listening to this as well. Like I said, once again, I'm fine. I'm not gonna jump off a bridge. I'm not gonna do anything crazy like that. But yeah, my personal life, it's got me burnt out. Those are the 5 main situations that got me burnt out right now. So let me tell you about what I'm going to do to fix it. Going back to the top, social media, I simply just need to create more content than I consume. And right now I consume a lot of content. From Netflix to Hulu to people's YouTube videos. I'm watching other people live extraordinary lifestyles and buy their dream houses and buy their dream cars and, talk to women and actually find their wife and see what a successful, healthy relationship is with their girlfriend or whatever. And that's really been a negative detriment to myself. So I need to live more in my own world. I need to create more content from my own perspective like this and talk about my own lived experiences, my own downs and my ups. And I need to actually walk up to a stranger female and just say hello and see what happens, and find my own healthy relationship. So that's how I'm going to solve the whole creator versus consumer, social media thing. Number 2, the politics of the world. I truly just need to start not giving a fuck, okay? Like, if Trump wants to nuke Iran, bro, I'll figure out that we're going to get nuked back the moment I die. I think that would be pretty cool. All right, sorry for the interruption. My freaking camera decided to overheat, so I have no clue where I was. And I just spent the last 20 minutes of my life laying on my bed, partially in quiet, watching a few videos. I was just watching this one video from Marcus Standen that I will put at the end of this, but I want to get back to what I was doing, which is providing the solutions to these 5 situations that I've been really burnt out in and how I've found myself there. So I don't remember what I said for social media, but I've changed my mind. Part of me, and this is, I guess, the first solution, part of me wants to just stop making content altogether. I feel like that would be pretty productive. Um, just so I can focus on, other things in my life. But then again, I also understand it's a necessary evil, which I guess it's not that I disagree with what I said earlier. I just wanted to provide more context and say that, that's why I want to create more than consume more, because creating more will not only help my brain stop being so overstimulated, because I'm constantly subconsciously and consciously comparing myself to other people, but I will also actually get closer to my dreams, goals, and aspirations, because that is a step I can do daily to help me reach the damn goal. So that's how I'm going to overcome the social media thing. I don't know what I was saying about the politics of the world. I remember something about ignorance is bliss, and I don't want to find out we're going to get nuked and I'm going to die until it happens. Obviously, there's some nuance to that. I want to stay informed and be up to date so I can be an educated person in this country, but I also understand that, like, I'm not trying to be a philosopher, so I need to understand my lane, understand where I'm going in life. I need to know enough to hold a conversation with a person, but I don't need to know everything. And I really need to stop trying to be a philosopher, because that is by no means what I want to do in my life. I don't need to know everything. I just need to know enough. So I will consume less, create more. Like I said, everything is linked to the social media thing. Number 3, the day job. I think I need to just maintain what I'm doing right now. And I don't know if I could take a nap or just go on more walks. I've been doing that a lot more recently, where I just, or just like actually go hard at the gym. I just need to find a way to separate the two, like separate my two lives I'm trying to live until it can just be like one life. I actively acknowledge if I just did the day job, life would be great. If I just did the business, life would be a lot better. But the fact that I'm doing both is very problematic. I know it's a short-term thing, and at some point, I'm either going to give up on the day job and go full-time in the business, or I'm going to give up on the business and go full-time at the day job. I would prefer if I went full-time at the business, so I will, continue to put myself to the torture that or rather, I will subject myself to the torture of trying to strive for greatness in a world of mediocrity. Mediocrity? I don't know which word it is exactly. Let me Google it. Let me see what Google has to say. Meteorocracy. Yeah. Meritocracy. We'll use that one.
Meritocracy.
Yeah, a system where power, rewards, and positions are assigned based on an individual's ability, effort, or achievement rather than social status or privilege. Meritocracy. Yes. Yeah, business expectations. Number 4. Simply put, I just need to follow through on the goddamn plan I already set out, because although this whole episode, I rewatched some of what I was saying earlier in the first 40 minutes of this, and I was really going back and forth on, like, should I even post this or not? But whatever, I'm gonna post it because like I said, it's real. Like, this is really how I'm feeling right now. I'm really burnt out, and my spirits are in the dumps. I'm crushed, you know what I'm saying? But especially when it comes to the business. But luckily, I'm not all, cooked. There are some sunshines and rainbows over here, you know what I'm saying? And I really need to lock in on the systems document. I really need to, just set realistic expectations for where I'm at in this world, and just understand that at some point the business will get easier, because I will have the money, time, and resources to delegate. You know what I'm saying? I will not need to be the accountant and the bookkeeper and the content creator and the producer and the director and the client acquisition and the social media manager and the assistant and the customer relations person. I won't need to fucking hold all the cards. Okay, I won't need to do it all. And the fact that I'm needing to do it all, and it's a real one-man show, but I'm glad I occasionally get some help, but I don't have, like I said, I don't have the time, energy, or resources to delegate. I don't even know what the fuck I could delegate. Like, I really need to figure that out. I really need to figure that out for the sake of my own mental health, and that's what I'm going to do to solve that problem, because if I don't, I'm going to quit on the business, because it's just, I'm ripping my hair out again. It's really bad. It's bad. I'm burnt out, guys. My brain is cooked. I'm going on a walk after this. This is not going up on time. This may go up on Monday at this rate. I don't know. Number 5, personal life, okay, or the lack thereof. I'm not a drinker. But I may go to the bar. Okay, I'm saying I may just go outside. May just go to a concert. I really want to go to a NHRA drag race. You know, I told my mom about this last year. I want to go see funny cars under the night lights. So I really need to. Well, I want to take my mom. You know, that's something I said we could do together, because, you know, she want to go see some race cars too, or I'm gonna force her to see some race cars with me. I don't know, but I just need to do something. Okay. I think I need to go sit on a random bench next to a girl and go say hi. I think that'd be pretty productive as well. And I downloaded Tinder again, just because why not, for the shits and giggles of it. But I think ultimately, in terms of my personal life, I just need to actually respond to people. You know, I do have people that reach out, but, you know, I've been so burnt out, and I've been so like just stuck spinning my wheels in the mud and just trying to grind through this bullshit. And I've not had the time, energy, or resources, or just the mental power to like respond, you know, to a lot of people, whether it's friends or casual people or just folks swiping up on the stories. It could be clients. I have like 3 Yelp messages I got like a week ago. I haven't even responded to those, bro, because it's like I'm not in a position where I can level-headedly, you know, proceed. You know what I'm saying? I need to protect the home front. And that's why I was like, I think I need to also stop posting on this goddamn podcast. But that's exactly why I need to post more on this podcast. We may go to 2 episodes a week. Not because I cope with my terrible existence through work, because that is true. But it helps with the creating more thing. But it also, gives me a reason to, hold myself accountable and just really document the process, like I said, because truly that's what all this is, whether it's the personal life, the business, expectations, the day job, the politics of the world, social media, creator versus consumer mindset, however you want to look at it. These are just the, 5 situations I've really been struggling with in the last little bit. These, I guess, since I'm so backlit, let me turn my light on so you can see my face a little bit. These are just really the 5 situations I've really been struggling with, and I got solutions. It's not going to be an overnight fix. It's not going to be a quick fix, but these are all things I could do today. I can, just go to a coffee shop and sit next to a random girl and strike up a conversation. I could. Once I'm done with this conversation, like I said, I told myself if I post this podcast Monday, it's okay. If it goes up Wednesday, so be it. We're a few days late, a few hours late, whatever. I need to lock in and finish that document. Okay. These are all of these things I said today. They're actionable. They're very small steps I can do incrementally and just get better at on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah, I love my life. I love the fact that I'm even stressed out about this, because I think at the end of the day, that just means I care. It means I'm a real human being. It means I have real fucking emotions. It means I'm not a stone cold stoic. I'm a human being. I'm a real person. And it's one of the best things anyone has ever told me in life, whether it's a mentor or friends I've had in the past, or just people walking by, wisdom from an old 80-year-old woman, riding the bus. It's like, it's okay to not be okay, bro. And if you actually feel something, if you feel mad or sad or happy and ecstatic, it doesn't matter. It just means you care. Okay, it means you're human, and it means you care. Okay, what you do next after that obviously defines the moment and what's going to happen. But yeah, choice is yours. We live in a crazy world, but I choose to keep moving forward. And I choose to post this goddamn podcast because it's all over the place, but at least it provides you the problems I'm facing with the potential solutions that I'm going to see if they work, and I'll keep you posted. So, with all that being said, let's get personal before my camera overheats again.
Let's get personal.
So for today's Let's Get Personal section, I want to talk about yesterday's podcast recording session, essentially. Long story short, I think it was supposed to be like two separate, it was supposed to be like two separate things. It was supposed to be like a two-person conversational podcast, and then like an interview with like a student of the academy, and which is the organization, the nonprofit we were recording content with. We, as in Maya, my sister, who excuse me, who assists and second shoots for me from time to time, and Darshaun, the owner of Wake Up Entertainment, who was a collaborator on this project. And essentially, like I was saying in the intro, the reason why all of that fell down the drain and went to shit was just like we were woefully unprepared for how drastically the situation had changed. Whether it was the lighting, in the event, which is going to make the editing super hard because I forgot materials, or I didn't have the right materials for the environment that we have found ourselves in, or the fact that they had just made the pivot in real time, that the podcast was going to be a 3-person thing instead of a 2-person thing. So I didn't bring enough lights, I didn't bring enough mics, I didn't bring enough camera equipment, I wasn't prepared enough, and I tried to make do in the moment. And then like I thought it was going to be like a 20 or 30 minute thing, and then next thing you know, we've recorded for 2 hours, and now there's 300 gigabytes worth of footage to sort through when I thought there would only be like 50. You know what I'm saying? And everything just drastically was just blown out of proportions from literally what I had thought it was going to be, from literally the conversations I had with some people and what I had taken away from it. And that's not to say like I still can't achieve the goal, it's not to say I can't achieve the mission, but I'm just saying when you listen to everything I've just said for the last 45 minutes of my existence on this earth about how burnt out I am due to my situations in life, like that was like the last thing I needed at that. I'm not saying that was the camel that I'm not saying that was the straw that broke the camel's back now, but I'm saying it definitely fucking helped. Okay. Definitely, was half of the straw at least. It accounted for 100 straws, to be honest with you. But nonetheless, I'm not crashing out. I'm not mad at an opportunity of some free work to work with a nonprofit or whatever. But I'm just saying, like situations like that, like I can't let that happen again. Like if I'm gonna collaborate with people, like I gotta do a better job at like very clearly defining what's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen, who's doing what. And if it's not that, I'm fucking leaving. I'm walking out the door, and there's no questions about it. I'm protecting my own mental health. I'm protecting my own brand image. I'm protecting, whatever it needs to be protected. And that it's not personal. It's quite literally just business, but it is also personal. So yeah, I guess it is. It is personal. It is very personal, but it is business as well. You know what I'm saying? Like that situation obviously did not go to plan, and I'm glad it didn't, because I learned something from it, and I'm glad I'm not being paid in this circumstance either, because I would just give them the fucking money back, to be honest with you. And it was a lot, and it was a lot for me to handle, preparing for it, working with people I've never worked with before. Like Darshaun, he's a great guy and everything, but like it's just the creative styles, and it's just I have a very specific workflow that I've I do in my head, that I'm trying to, like I said, put on paper in the systems document so I can more eloquently share and show like the method to the madness, and show a client, results. Like, this is why we do these shots, and this is why you need to say these things to get the result you want, like stuff like that, when you're making videos and such. And like, I just, through my lack of being unprepared personally, through my lack of being unprepared business wise and professionally, like it just went to shit. And maybe it didn't actually go to shit. Like I said, we got some good content, but for me, how I felt about the matter was it went to shit. Personally, I was like, let me make sure my mic is still recording. I didn't even check that. I just kind of Just kind of assumed it was. I was gonna be so mad if I just turned the camera on and was yapping, and all you heard was nothing. Oh my god! I think I actually would have just actually went on the walk and sat in the park and heard the birds chirp for 5 minutes, and then yelled very loud, and then walked back here and then tried again. Okay. Um, I say all that to say that, for this, let's get personal. That's just like, yeah, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Like I said, it was probably like 100,000 million billion trillion straws, but whatever. Um, Moral of the story is, going forward, if I'm ever going to work with more creatives than the people that are on my team, I gotta define boundaries more and expectations. And if the expectations aren't met, I'm leaving. And because to protect myself and the business, I'm gonna just leave it at that. No harm, no foul. No one did anything wrong. It was just like, this is a literal. It's not you, it's me. I was unprepared. I was not ready for this hypothetical situation that I didn't even think could happen. And the fact that it happened threw me so far off that I was just like scrambling in the moment to like make it work. And I was just pretending like everything is fine. But internally, I was like, this shit is all the way fucked up. The lighting is bad. The sun's going down. I didn't bring enough artificial lights. I didn't. It was bad. It was so bad. It was really, really bad. And yeah, so now I have to do an incomprehensible amount of sorcery to like will this shit into existence. And the turnaround on this was supposed to be relatively quick. And unless I work like 24/7 for like 3 days straight, maybe I can have it done by like tomorrow or Tuesday. But yeah, brother, it's gonna take a week, minimum. And that's if I'm trying to neglect, fixing everything I just talked about, in this podcast. That's if I neglect hitting the gym. That's if I neglect trying to find my wife and having a personal life and going to go get a coffee at a Starbucks and speaking to a college girl. You know what I'm saying? That's if I neglect, trying to actually go on a walk and stretch my body so my legs don't, hurt so bad I can move the muscles and try to heal my body faster. That's if I neglect trying to just fix the problems I have with the business and putting pen to paper and typing out what I do and why I do it and what works and what doesn't work. Like, I need to record the method to the madness. Like, what makes me different from the competitors? Like, how can I guarantee results? How can I show proof that what I can do works, that people would be willing to pay me for my business endeavors, all that and more. So it's gonna be a lot. This next week is gonna fucking suck, but I'm just gonna keep it at that. I'm not giving up. We're going to keep moving forward, but there's a lot of trudging through the mud ahead. So, yeah, that's your Let's Get Personal. Here's some wisdom from your OG, or from NOG in today's case. Today, I want to put on the video I was just watching from Marcus. I forget his name again. Oh my goodness, I'm very all over the place, and my brain is not doing okay. To be 100% honest with you, it is really, really not doing all right. Yeah, Marcus. Stadon. I still don't know how to pronounce his last name, but it's like a 3-minute video. I was watching the first minute of it. I'm just gonna play the whole 3 minutes. It's pretty informative. He's talking about concepts about getting rich and all of these things, but he's also just talking about like the things that I'm struggling with, like walking a path that is worth walking down. There are aspects of the business I do, as he describes in that first part you're going to hear, that I could walk endlessly down, and other people would be like, oh, my feet hurt, I want to give up, and I would keep walking until it's bone and all the blood and skin is gone. Like, there are aspects of my business where I would do that, but it's not the whole business. I don't, and it's something that I've personally been battling. Is the life of entrepreneurship for me? Or should I just go work for somebody else so I don't have to figure out that other, the bullshit I don't like, because either way, like if I stay an entrepreneur, like I want to run the business, but I don't want to like run the boring shit I don't care about in the business. I'd rather just pay someone who lives and breathes that, you know, than go do what I actually like and stay up to date when I need to stay up to date. But I don't know. I'll figure out that, you know, as I go. You know, I haven't got that far yet. So yeah, here's that video. And then once that video is done playing, I'll do the outro in next week's topic. So yeah, play that video and I'll see you in a second.
No intro. Here are 7 lessons forged through thousands of years of human wisdom that will make you rich, not just in money, but in health, freedom, relationships, and purpose. The first lesson is the man who loves walking will always walk further than the man who only wants the destination. Understand that everybody wants to be rich. Having the desire alone means nothing, nada. And so you need to lean into a model that feels like play to you, but looks like work to others, and let the obsession that follows do the rest. The second lesson is be a practitioner, not a theorist. Develop a strong bias toward imperfect action because it's the only tool that you have to create change in external reality. In a world increasingly full with theorists, leaning into doing first, thinking later is your single greatest advantage. The third lesson is understanding that the present moment is the only thing you are ever responsible for. Most people hemorrhage their energy trying to solve their past and future, despite both not being real illusions. So when you collapse your responsibility down to this moment alone, the paralysis dissolves. All that remains is to act. The fourth lesson is understand that knowledge and information is not the bottleneck, execution is. There's an entire guru industry that profits a boatload by convincing you that you're missing some secret information. The secret is there is no secret. You already know what you need to do, you just haven't done enough of it yet. The fifth lesson is the resistance standing between you and your goals is not real, it's a fugazi, right? It may feel like the obstacles you encounter are external, but they're actually all emotional in nature. They originate from within the mind. And so when you change your beliefs behind adversity, emotional resilience becomes effortless. The sixth lesson is never lie to yourself. Impeccable self-trust means matching intention with action without exception. If you plan it, you do it. And so this level of self-certainty builds unshakable confidence. The seventh and final lesson is when you expect nothing, you will gain everything. Do so much volume that success becomes a mathematical inevitability, whilst also releasing all attachment from the end outcome. Because when your expectations are at zero, doubt has nowhere to root in, and therefore quitting is removed as an option. Ultimately, there are a million ways to become a millionaire, but those 7 lessons helped me become one by 20 years old. Put them to good use. Godspeed.
Now that the video is played, yeah, next week's topic, it's a beautiful thing. I don't know exactly what we're going to talk about, but I do know we are going to talk about something. Maybe I'll do an update, okay? The Elephant in the Room Part 2 or something like that, to talk to you about, you know, just to give you like real-time progress, like how I'm feeling about being burnt out. Like last week, you know, episode 223 of the podcast, I was talking about how to actually follow through on your dreams, goals, and aspirations. And I think that combined with this episode 224, I'm going to, you know, in episode 225, I'm going to like really just, you know, give y'all a progress update, see if it's working, see if I need to change anything. And then I really would just want to do an episode where I just talk about positive things in the world. You know, everything is so negative. My own personal life, there's so many things to be mad about. There's so many things to lose hair about. There's so many things to be frustrated about. That I just want to be delusional and only see the good in the world. So maybe I'll give you like 10 positive things in the world right now that are worth, smiling about or something. So yeah, expect that next week, something along those lines. And yeah, for the outro, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, thanks for being a part of this little journey of mine. To be 100% honest with you, I don't know if I'm gonna make clips. I think I'm gonna take the week off and just make the long form and then post the post the cover, but hey, I'm not making clips for this. So I can focus on other things in life that need to be focused on. That there's more pressing issues that I need to resolve, and yeah, I'm grateful to even be in this position. Ultimately at the end of the day. So I did just spend the last 50 minutes to almost an hour of my life complaining. A lot of people would say, but I would like to look at it as I was just acknowledging that I may be incredibly privileged in life to even have the opportunity to be in some of these rooms and think about the things I think about, or what may have you, okay? Whatever you could say. But that doesn't take away the fact that I'm human. And it doesn't take away the fact that you're human, okay? It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion. You're going to experience death. You're going to experience grief. You're going to experience loss. You're going to experience happy moments. You're going to experience births. You're going to experience ups and downs and everything else in between. And your life is always going to be chaotic. It doesn't matter if you are the president of the United States or you're living in a Kenyan slum on that one island where they literally poop into the ocean. And then the kids are playing in the poopy ocean water. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is, brother. Okay, life will always have its ups. It will always have its downs. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter where you are. That is universal. And this week's podcast was about my little perspective on it, And I just want to say, for the future generations, my ancestors that may find this video, or myself in 5 or 10 years, I may watch this and look back and just be like, damn, bro, I was making everything so complicated, or damn, bro, I'm glad I documented that, because I'm glad I didn't give up, because I actually did what I talked about in this video, or what have you. Okay, I may hate myself because I posted this. Maybe this video makes it so I can't run for president in 10 years or whatever, as I jokingly say. But as of right now, I'm not running for fucking president in 10 years. I need to get a lot more money so, I can fix some things and level out, you know what I'm saying? I need rich people problems, then I'll run for president. But right now, I got still trying to work your way out the crab barrel problems. And yeah, once I'm out of that cesspool, we can worry about bigger ideas and problems. So yeah, I love and appreciate you. That's your outro. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you around. Okay, like, subscribe, unsubscribe, hate, comment, positive comment, follow, unfollow, share, or report the podcast. At this point, I don't care, bro. Stay positive, get the bread, fade the black. Woo! I love you. Kyla, come here.
So this morning, the President of the United States of America, AI is huge, and it's only going. So we got an inflation print yesterday.
Yeah. I was right. I'm gonna put the Kyla videos in there. All right. Oh my God, this is gonna be an hour-long podcast. This is gonna be insane.
I'm in my G'd up zone. I'm about to get it in, kick your feet up home. Days turn to weeks when you're always on the grind all night. I got my re-up back. I'm about to get it in, I'll be right back.
Nate, high low to those who don't know the name. And G'd up, yup, that's the only thing I claim.